How's it going, everyone? It's Calamity here, and you know what time of year it is again. It is Thanksgiving time, which means it's time to talk about a football video game, because I like talking about football video games around this time of year, because, football and Thanksgiving go hand in hand. To me, football and Thanksgiving are just as much a thing as turkey and Thanksgiving. They just are perfect together. There's always football on Thanksgiving, and it doesn't really even matter who's playing. You're going to watch the football game no matter what, So I always like talking about football games because every single year during Thanksgiving, I watch football. I love seeing whoever's playing. It doesn't matter who it is, but it's always fun. I always enjoy it. It's just kind of an event. It's just what you do in America. You watch football on Thanksgiving. If you don't, you're missing out. So, but this year we're going to be talking about NFL Blitz. I have never played NFL Blitz before. This was my first time playing it. I have no nostalgia for this game whatsoever, and I didn't really know too much of what to expect going into it. I knew that it was definitely arcadey. I didn't realize how arcadey it actually is. This is a very, very arcadey style video game. I like it alright, but I will say right off the bat, I definitely prefer the Madden games over this. But this is a nice twist, and it is something different. And I think for someone who is looking for something other than Madden, this is definitely a good alternative. And this NFL Blitz game on the N64, it also has a really good roster in it, which is something that I always like whenever I go back and play older football games. I always like seeing what the roster is like. And this one has some pretty good players in it. It's got Dan Marino, it's got Drew Bledsoe, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning. So you got some good quarterbacks in there. And you even, got Marvin Harrison on the Colts. So it's got some good players, So I like the roster in this game quite a bit. I think that stuff is pretty good. The actual gameplay of it, like I said, it's definitely an arcadey game. It's even more arcadey than Madden. I didn't realize how... I always considered Madden kind of arcadey, but I guess it really isn't compared to this. This is really arcadey. Like, the rules are completely different than regular football in a lot of ways. So whenever you get the ball for the first time, instead of it being, first and 10 yards to go, it's always first and 30. So that's really odd that they do that instead. I guess it's just to kind of make the game go quicker and make it feel like, each play matters more, because you're constantly throwing in this game. There's not really much in terms of running plays. If you're wanting to do a running play, you basically are just throwing it to someone behind the line real quick and making them run, or you're running as the quarterback yourself. So there's not a whole lot of running in this game. It's pretty much focusing on passing, and I think that's just to kind of keep the focus on, scoring constantly, keep the focus on constantly being down the field, constantly something going on. And I get it for people that really want an arcade-style game. I think that's great, but I would have liked to see more running plays, personally. But that's neither here or there. The actual game here it's basically focused on throwing, and that is what it is. The actual way it works with the whole first and 30, I prefer just having first and 10 like regular football, but again, I get it for what they were going for. And I wish that you also get to do your extra point afterwards. You don't get to do the point after attempt. Instead, it basically just gives you a freebie, or you can go for it and go for a 2-point conversion, and then you can score that way and get 2 points, and it'll actually let you play for that. But I wish it would actually let you kick for the extra point instead of just giving you a freebie. I'm not a really big fan of that, if I'm being honest. On defense, the AI is really dumb, so don't expect much help from the defense. And honestly, whenever there's a turnover that happens, whether it's a fumble or an interception, it really just kind of feels like dumb luck. I never really felt like I did anything that was really worthy of making someone fumble. I never really felt like I did anything that made, that felt worthy of an interception. It kind of all just felt like dumb luck, and it felt like it would just happen at the most random of times, and it just didn't really feel legit. So I wasn't a big fan of that. It felt a little bit too artificial for me, if I'm being honest. Another thing about this game that makes it more arcadey is that there's really no penalties in this game. So you can basically tackle wide receivers before they even get the ball. There's no pass interference, so if you want, you can just run and tackle someone while they're trying to grab the ball. I'm okay with that. Again, if you're trying to go for an arcadey feel, which this game is definitely going for, especially considering that this was an arcade cabinet, it makes sense. So I'm fine with that. I'm actually okay with there not being any flags or anything like that. You actually have to purposely run out of bounds too. Like, you can't just run out of bounds. You actually have to press the jump button to make your guy jump out. He will not just run out automatically, which is kind of interesting. Another thing that you can do is that there's no like unnecessary roughness penalties or roughing the kicker or roughing the passer or anything like that. So after the play is over, you can just keep tackling a person over and over and over again, and your character will do funny moves. Like he'll just start like leg dropping and start doing wrestling moves onto to the other players and stuff after the play is over, and I thought that was pretty funny. So I like all that stuff, and the animation is actually pretty good. Even the tackle animations, they look pretty good as well. Like you can hit some of them and you can go sliding. Sometimes your guy will like grab them and he'll spin them around in a circle and just throw them across the field. I like those ones too. And the actual art style for this game is interesting because they definitely went with a cartoony look to it, because all the characters are like super, super buff and super big, and they got like just ridiculously proportioned muscles and everything. So they definitely have this arcadey, cartoony style going on that I really like as well. So this game definitely has some good things going for it. Now, other than just your regular arcade mode, there is also this franchise mode that you can do where you basically pick a team and then you play all the way to the Super Bowl. And I thought that was fun. I like fantasy drafts in my football games, and I wish that this one would have had it. Maybe this game's just a little bit too old for it. Keep in mind, when I started playing Madden, I think I started, with like 2003 or something like that. This game is from the 90s, so it just may be too old for a fantasy draft. I don't know if the Madden games back then had it or not, but, it's just something that I would personally like, and with a lot of the modern games these days, they have that, so I'll always kind of lean towards those games instead. I'll lean towards those games because they have fantasy drafts and they have create a team and stuff like that. Those mid-2000s games, they really had like everything going on and all these great features. They had extra teams from Europe and stuff, so there was just a lot more going on, and I like those extra features. So this game not having those features does kind of make me want to go play Madden instead. However, like I said, this is still a nice breath of fresh air. This is something different. It's very different. It's a lot more arcadey than I was expecting, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The only bad thing about this game, I would say, is the price tag of it. This game usually goes for around $15, and again, $15 isn't too bad for a video game, but it is kind of high for a sports game. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't really live up to expectations. I don't know if I would spend $15 on this game again. Like, if I could go back and redo it, would I spend $15 on it? Probably not. I'd probably try to find it for 10 or under, because, like, a lot of the Madden video games, for example, you can find those suckers for, like, $1 or $2 a piece, and those games are just a lot better, honestly. This game's not bad, but $15 is a little bit high for it, if I'm being honest. I do feel like I probably should have tried to find it cheaper, even though I know I probably wouldn't have been able to. But either way, if you are looking for a good Madden alternative, I think that this is a good alternative, and it will definitely be a nice breath of fresh air if you are just looking to get away from the standard gameplay of regular NFL football. However, when I want to play NFL football, I usually want to play a more realistic style of game. I do usually want a lot more of the rules and everything like that. So for me, I'll always be interested in more of the ones that's more grounded in the actual NFL rules. However, these arcade games, this arcade one specifically, it is fun. And I'm not going to deny that. This is a fun game. So it's up to you whether you check this game out or not. I would definitely say if you are going to check it out, try to find it for less than $10. Don't make the mistake I did. Don't pay too much for it. But if you can find it for less than $10, I say go ahead and pick it up. But don't overspend on it, because it's not that amazing. It's fun, but it's not that amazing. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe button down below, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.